I want to start today with something I've noticed, both in my work and honestly in myself. A lot of us don't actually know how to rest. We know how to stop, we know how to crash, we know how to push until there's nothing left. But real rest, the kind that actually restores us, that's a different skill entirely. And if rest feels uncomfortable or indulgent or like something you have to justify, there's a reason for that. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Soul Talk podcast, where we have conversations at the intersection of mind, body, and spirit. I'm Marybeth Hrim, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a coach. I'm a runner, and welcome to week 8 of the Living Unmasked series, a week that intentionally slows us down after everything we've explored so far. Because after unmasking, after listening to the body, after movement and expression, the nervous system doesn't want more insight. It wants integration. And integration requires rest. And before I go any further, I want to invite you, if these conversations resonate, if they help you feel less alone in your body and in your life, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I share meditations and practices to support this work on nervous system level, not just an intellectual one. They're there to help you actually feel what we're talking about. Now, let's keep going. I want to share a moment that really clarified this for me, because there was a time really not too long ago where on paper, everything looked fine. Everything looked great. I was moving. I was productive. I was doing meaningful work. But my body was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. And I remember sitting down, not because I planned to rest, but because suddenly I had to. And feelings like this wave of emotion come up that surprised me. And it wasn't just fatigue, it was grief. Grief for how long I had treated rest as something to earn. Grief for how often I had ignored quieter signals. Grief for how normal that felt. That moment didn't mean I was doing anything wrong. It meant my body finally trusted me enough to, to stop. See, why does rest feel unsafe to most of us? Here's what I want to name clearly. For many of us, rest doesn't feel neutral. It feels unsafe because rest threatens identities built on being capable, being reliable, being strong, being the one who doesn't need much. When you slow down, questions come up. Who am I if I'm not producing? Can you relate to that? What happens if I stop holding everything together? Do you feel like you're just going to fall apart? What if I lose momentum? my purpose, relevance. Those fears aren't irrational. Those fears are learned. So here's the difference between rest versus collapse, because again, it really matters. I want to come back to this distinction because it's important. Collapse is what happens when rest is postponed too long. Collapse looks like exhaustion that feels heavy and hopeless. You're numbing out. You're getting sick, losing motivation altogether. Where rest is different. Rest is intentional. Rest is present. And rest has awareness. Because rest says, I'm listening before my body has to force the issue. And many of us were never taught how to do that. And here's another layer we don't talk about enough. As we move through midlife, the body's needs change. Recovery takes a lot longer. Our sleep shifts. Our hormones shift. Energy cycles are so much different. And yet expectations often don't change with us. So when your body asks for more rest now, that's not weakness. That's adaptation. That's intelligence. That's your system recalibrating for longevity, not just survival. A lot of us are in survival mode. And here's the kicker. Rest is an active process. I want to gently challenge the idea that rest means doing nothing. Rest can look like lying down without sleeping, sitting without scrolling, walking slowly without tracking your pace or tracking your miles, being quiet without checking the clock, and being okay with that. Letting your nervous system settle without distraction. Rest is not passive. It's regulating. And that takes practice. We have to practice rest. And here's how you do it. You practice rest by learning what your rhythm is. Everybody's rhythm is different. So this week is also about rhythm. It's not about schedules, not about routines, not about productivity. Rhythm is internal. It's noticing when your energy naturally rises, when it dips, when your body wants engagement. And yes, also when your body wants repair. Because living unmasked means cooperating with your rhythm instead of overriding it. And yes, that can feel very uncomfortable at first. So why does guilt show up for many of us? Because if guilt shows up when you rest, I want you to hear this. Guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means you're doing something new because you're interrupting a pattern that once kept you safe. Guilt is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're changing. And changing can be uncomfortable, but changing is a must. Because rest protects the unmasked self. Here's the truth that sits underneath all of this. When you live unmasked, you feel more. And that can be very uncomfortable. I know for me, it can really be uncomfortable. But sometimes, again, you have to go with the rhythm. You're more sensitive in a healthy way. You notice misalignment much sooner. You can't numb as easily, which means rest isn't optional anymore. Rest becomes how you protect your honesty, your clarity, your capacity to stay connected without burning yourself out. So here's a gentle invitation. As you move through this week, I invite you to ask yourself, what kind of rest actually restores me? Not what looks good, not what you think should help, but what genuinely settles your body. Because everybody's different, so you have to find what settles you. Let that answer guide you, even if it surprises you, and it might. It might surprise you, and that's okay. Just let it settle. If you'd like support practicing this kind of rest, not just understanding it, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where you'll find guided meditations and practices designed to help your nervous system integrate, restore, and find rhythm again. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to earn rest by exhausting yourself first. You don't need permission to slow down. And you don't need to be productive to be worthy. Rest is not a reward. It is a part of being alive. And with that, I'll see you next week. Until next time, I'm Marybeth Hrim.